hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
All right. So for today's code along, thanks Nirav. First of all, thanks Nirav for giving that context. So for today's code along, we want to look at how you could embed Spotter as a skill inside your own agent. We call it Spotter Agent Embed, where Spotter as an agent can be embedded inside your own agent. Um, all this code is available on GitHub. You could, in addition to other examples we have uh, for embedding ThoughtSpot. So you can we will post the links to these repositories at the end of the session. So I'll just take one of the examples, which is Spotter Agent Embed, and it is as I said earlier, to embed Spotter into your own agent. Uh, from here, you can open any example in a code sandbox. So I've opened it here. Uh, so as Nirav showed earlier, he showed a sneak peek of how Spotter experience looks. But many people who have their own apps are now trying to build their own agents. They're trying to build their own conversational experience, and there they are providing some skills which is core to their offering, but they also want to provide analytic skills. That is where Spotter comes in. So if you have your own agent and then you want to provide analytic skills as a part of that agent, that is where Spotter Agent Embed can help you. So as a quick demo here, I just built a very rudimentary conversational bot. I will go through the code of backing it, but let's first see what it looks like. So if I just say, hi, how are you? And then what can you do for me? So right now I have powered it only by analytic skill. So that's why it says I can analyze data for you. And it's a retail sales data set. So let's say I want to say, okay, show me revenue by region. So it understood that this is analytics intent, and based on that, it went to ThoughtSpot and brought back a chart for uh, revenue by region. And this chart is interactive ThoughtSpot chart. You can you can convert it to a table or a chart. You can drill down. You can download it. Uh, all the actions you take on a ThoughtSpot chart are also available here. Uh, I can ask follow-up questions. So for example, I can say by store. So now it will go back and try to ask the same question by store. So it will be revenue by store. Let's see what it does here. So as we see here, it shows total sales by store. So and you can just say, hey, uh, oh, sorry, so anyway, uh, as we see it into your own agent, like this shell conversation is not ThoughtSpot provided. ThoughtSpot is only providing visualizations. Uh, the 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 host agent is your own. So uh, so let's look at the code. What made this possible? Any questions on the demo though so far? Okay, cool. So if we see on the code side, uh, there are two parts to it. One is the backend, which is the actual agent. So we call it simple agent. Simple agent is just a dummy agent I've built for demo purposes, but this will be your own agent uh, if you are trying to put it in your own app. Uh, I use Express, which is like a web server, And I also use Google Gemini as a model here. And in Google Gemini, when I define Google Gemini, I define it with this is the definition of the model of the agent. So I say that I want to use Gemini 2.0 Flash, and I pass these tools to the model when I'm defining it, and that is like a data analytics function tool. And data analytics tool is just the name is analyze data, and I provide a description that analyze and run queries on tabular data set that we already have access to. And then what are the parameters? So whenever we define a tool onto an agent, we have to define parameters. And these are some of the parameters here. There's only one parameter here, that is the query. So, uh, so that's it. So now we have defined a tool to Gemini that whenever there is a there is a question from a user which matches this data analytics intent, we should the model will call this tool, and whenever it calls this tool, we will get a notification that this tool is being called. uh, so once we have this setup, we just expose two APIs here. We have exposed two APIs. One is called start, actually three APIs, but we only use two for this demo. uh, API start and API send. API start is just to start the conversation. So whenever I started a conversation, it just starts a conversation and sets the state with a conversation ID. And then we have API send, which will be used to send each and every message. So whenever the UI is sending a message, it calls this API. Uh, and in this function, we just extract the chat ID against which the message was sent and the message. And then we retrieve that chat from our chat store, and then we send this message to that chat session. So this chat session is nothing but uh, Gemini's chat session, which we created right here. If you see this code here, when we called API start, we created a UID to identify any chat session, and then we start the chat. So this is generative model dot start chat is the magic call there, which makes Gemini start a new chat session. And that's about it, right? So that's about this simple agent. Any questions on the just the agentic part, and then we'll go on to the UI part of how we set up the conversational bit. Um,
Ashish, I think you can move on with the code along. We are getting some questions in Q&A. I think we can take them up once you're done with this.
okay, awesome. Um, Cool. So now let's move on to the UI part of it. Before I move on, how many people are familiar with React? I hope people know React or have worked with JavaScript React before, because this tutorial now will assume that you have some React knowledge. But anyways, React is easy to follow. So if even if you don't have React experience, it should be easy to follow. Um, so there is just one file here which does all the magic. So if we start from the starting, uh, we uh, we have we import the ThoughtSpot Visual Embed SDK, which is the uh, which is the which is the base library which we ship, and it's an open source library. We'll share the GitHub and npm links for that. uh, that library exports some uh, all the components and utilities and methods you would need to embed uh, the ThoughtSpot analytics components into your app. Uh, so here we just we this is just basic setup. So if you see here, I'm also using this pro chat component from and design. And design is a very popular uh, uh, UI design library. It provides ready-made components for a lot of things. It also provides a chat component. So I'm just using and design's chat component here. Uh, and this is the configuration of the and design chat component that that I want a chat component with with like this locale should be English. This should occupy the full page of the full available height and width. As you can see on the right hand side, this occupies the full available height and width. And then how do I render each message? Whenever someone sends a message, try to parse the message, and if the message has a function call, then then render the message as a spotter message. So we'll see the spotter message code really soon. But this this basically makes a call uh, to the backend API, and the backend API will then return some of these. This is the code to make the backend API call. So whenever there is a new message, it will make a call to send message with the chat ID of this session and the last message. So we just send the last message to our agent. Uh, and as we send the last message to our agent, we'll get a response. And if that response says that I need to make a function call for analytics, for analyze data, that is what this line does here. Uh, I should render a spotter chart. Otherwise, I just render whatever text the agent has returned. So that is what we see in here. Like if I have asked things like, what can you do for me, or show me revenue, or decided that these are not function calls. These are just plain textual responses. In that case, it will not have, this condition will be false, and we will just render the text the way it is. In the case when it is a function call, which was show me revenue by region, it will the agent will decide that, hey, this is an analytics uh, intent, and it will say that, oh, I need to call the analytics tool for this. And whenever the agent decides to say that call an analytics agent tool for me, we go into the spotter message component. And if we see this one, um, let me go to that one. It's here. So so this is another. So we just so we import. So this is a definition of the spotter message component. So in React, you basically define some components and which show up on the UI, and each component will have some parameters or some properties which you can pass to that component. So this spotter message component just accepts one parameter or one property called query, and that query is sent back from the agent that, hey, uh, uh, this is an analytics intent and the query is revenue by region, for example. And whenever we receive that query, we send it to so we create a bodyless conversation here. So that's the part which we that is the analytics component from ThoughtSpot we use here. So as we see here on the first line, we imported bodyless conversation from ThoughtSpot Visual Embed SDK. This bodyless conversation is the spotter agent component which we are embedding, and we first create a new conversation here, which is against a worksheet ID. So I don't know how many people on this call are familiar with ThoughtSpot worksheets or ThoughtSpot data models, but any any spotter session or any embedding you create has to be backed by some a collection of data models, or at least a single data model. So this worksheet ID is the ID for that data model which you have created in ThoughtSpot. Um, And then once we have conversation instance created out of bodyless conversation, whenever we receive a message, we just send that message to that conversation instance. And whenever we get the response, we put the response in our UI. So, and that response will be this chart. So, is that simple as that? Uh, you send a message to this conversation instance, you will receive a chart in response, and that chart you put in your UI or in your DOM. So that is what this is doing. And that's it. That is all that is there in this demo in terms of code. Uh, any questions on this part or any other parts?
Ashish, what I'm doing is I'm pasting some questions in the chat box for you to answer. We've been getting these questions. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I just posted one question.